So I was recording this before, I think yesterday for 3 hours, right? 3 or 6 hours. And one of those streams, for some reason, didn't finish recording, or it was only like 4 minutes of it. And that was the beginning. So it's not like I can go back and just continue if it was a second one. Because the second one, I also made a mistake of not recording audio, so I had to record that. So it's just been a big mess, right? It's been a mess. So I have to start all the way over. Meaning I have to explain all the concepts again, I have to do all of the explanations again, and hopefully it's as good as I did the first time, because I really did do a good job the first time, at least in my opinion I did. But to start, I gotta explain some key concepts before we really get into it. I gotta explain frames. So, in 1 second, there's 60 frames. So if you count to 1, there's 60 frames that just happen. That's how most video games are run, either at 30 or 60 frames per second. Most people say 1 to 60. This game is based upon it being 60. Right? Now, a frame is 1/60th of a second. So that's insanely fast. 1/60th of a second is basically instantaneous. There's not really, you can't react to it, right? And 10 frames you can't react to. I think they say something like around 20 is when you can react, and even then it's like rough. Like you gotta really be locked in to see it. So in this game, especially this session, everything I'm going to be talking about is going to be through the lens of frames. For example, if you're negative on frames, at least frame advantage, meaning the other person can move before you, it tells you the amount of frames you have to wait before you can move again. For example, if I do... Right. He jumps before me. He jumps very before me. Right? That's because he has 14 frames where he can move, but I can't. That when you have negative frame advantage, it's just tacking on extra frames of recovery onto the end of your period. It's a point where none of your inputs will be registered. Right? Trying to time it. But you can see I was holding up the entire time. But only when 14 frames ends can I actually, register that it's holding up. So it won't do anything if you're negative in those frames. So if you're negative 60 frames, for a full second, you can't do anything. And essentially what fighting games are at a fundamental level is passing around, you can't play the game right now, or I can't play the game right now. It's just back and forth. That's what a turn is. Who gets to press buttons? Who gets to apply pressure? And whenever you do a move that's negative like this, you're giving up your turn because you're giving them advantage. You see the plus 14 in green? That means they have advantage. That means that they are the ones who, they have the turn. You've given it up by doing the move and then blocking it. Now, of course, you want the move to hit. You aren't willingly giving it up. But it's just a consequence of them blocking the move. Now it's their turn. They get to act first, and now you have to decide what to do. In this game, blocking is instant. Instant. So, for example, I'm going to put him on to punish. And then I'm gonna have him hit me after the second move. See? He can't hit me. And the reason for that is... punish. This move here, it makes it +9, right? At least gives him 9 frames of advantage, because I'm -9 when I do it. The fastest option in the game is 10 frames gap. meaning you have 10 frames of like opportunity, and it has to line up perfectly. Meaning, if you have 10 frames of opportunity, you have to use a 10 frame move. If you have 11 frames of opportunity, you use a 10 frame or an 11 frame. Right? If you have 13, 15, 16, so on and so on, it just increases the amount of options you have, like what moves you can do. But it has to actually be within. It has to be less than or equal to the number of like frame window you have. So in this situation where I do this, that's a 14 frame window that he has to punish me. For Yoshimitsu, you can do 1-1, 2-2, and some other things that I don't have memorized. So when I say, oh, this move is safe, it's because blocking is instant, meaning the second you hold back after you're allowed to play the game again, after you're no longer negative, you block. Like instantaneously. Right? And I'm only -9 here, meaning I have one frame where I just hold back, the back gets registered, I'm blocking instantly. So anything sub 10 is safe. And that goes for all moves, every character. Anything sub 10 is safe. Alright. So this move starts off with the 10 frame jab we were talking about. It's +1 on block as all jabs are in this game. And a thing is that some characters like Yoshi, they have a follow-up on their one, so they can't spam 1-1 because it does something. Like for example, Yoshi, when he does his 1-1, has a follow-through, and that follow-through on block is negative. I think it's punishable too. Like it's not safe. So he can't spam this button. And the reason you would want to, I don't want to say spam per se, but you can just throw out this button repeatedly, and why I'm bringing it to your attention, is that it's +1 on block, as in we have 1 frame of advantage. So when we do it, we can move 1 frame before our opponent, which doesn't seem that important, doesn't seem that interesting, but that means if they try to jab, they get beat. They can't jab back at us. Their fastest option, we beat them. See? And the only reason we traded before was because I was 1 frame off. So no matter what, he can't actually, beat my 10 frame option. Now if I were to do something slower, then obviously we would trade or he would beat me. The easiest way to figure out the frame data in this game, at least for me, is not to minus the frames from yourself, but to add it onto theirs. Think of frame advantage as a window or a doorway or like a period of time. Because think of frames as 1/60th of a second is literally what they are, but it's hard to visualize that. It's hard to think of that as like something tangible. So instead of 60th of a second, imagine it's a minute. Imagine 60 seconds is now 60 seconds is a minute. But imagine the 60 frames are all worth 1 second. So when I do this, right, and I'm -14, I have -14 like frame advantage, right? Imagine that it's not 1/60th of a second times 14. Imagine it's 14 seconds. So just sitting there for 14 seconds allows the person to do whatever they want. It's the same thing, just scaled upwards. That should be able to help you like visualize it, right? And I don't like taking away frames from my own moves because it's disingenuous. Because whenever you're at frame disadvantage or advantage, you're not changing the frame data of your moves. You're just tacking on extra recovery periods, I guess, or like longer periods of like waiting so you can play the game again. So, for example, when I do this move, which is negative 14 on block, it gives them. It doesn't give them 14 frames faster move, right? It just makes it that I can't do anything, including block, for 14 frames. So the easiest way to do it is to take whatever option they have when you have advantage and just add that number to their moves. Because the longer a move takes to get out, the worse. So the option we're going to be using is the 10 frame grab because it's the fastest. And the option to interrupt someone is the best, right? It's going to be the simplest like qualifier of like, can he stop me? Because sure, you could lose an interaction, but as long as you can like stop someone from doing things, it's powerful enough. Because if we have him stop blocking, when you get off a successful jab, you're +8. So now it's your turn. +8 is your turn. Because now he can't use a 10 frame jab because you have 8 advantage and you'll add that 8 to his 10 frame. So meaning you can do anything that's sub 18, right? So for example, to prove this, we go to punish after the first hit. This move here is 18 frames, right? Let's actually choose a different move. Something is what's his launcher? 15, right? That's a 15 move, right? If I jab him and then he tries to punch me and I do that move, I will send him flying. Because he has 8 frames of disadvantage. His move is 10. You add the 8 to the 10. That's 18. The fastest he can respond is in 18 frames. I mean, anything faster than 18 beats him. For example, he can't respond now. But if you respond with something at 18, it trades. Actually, I think this move is 16, but that only proves the point. Because it's 16, it beats 18. I don't know what an 18 move is. That's 15. Yeah, I don't know any 18 frame moves. But hopefully you get the point, right? You take his jab or whatever move he's gonna do, you take that frame data, you take whatever advantage you got, and then you add it onto that move, and then you'll be able to figure out if you can beat. And the reason all of this is important is in a situation where you're +1, right? It makes it that you can move before him, so you can throw out another jab before him. So he can't do anything slow, right? He can't go for anything that requires like more than 10 frames unless he crouches. Because as a way of balancing, right? Sure, you're +1, sure it's still your turn, you can keep going, you can keep pressing this button, but they could just duck and launch you. Because jabs as a balancing mechanic were made high, so they're avoidable. You spam jab too much, you're only +1. You can't do anything crazy anyway. You only have 1 extra frame of like, you know, leeway to get moves in. If he just ducks, you whiff and he can launch you for it. Or he sidestep. You know, there's options to beat jabs. This isn't one of those games where there's one move that you can spam over and over again, and it's gonna carry you all the way to the end of the game. You can't just like sig spam. You can't, you know. And it's even in those games like Brawlhalla or Mortal Kombat, it's the same situation with them where you can't really just spam because the second it gets blocked, you're gonna get launched. And this is the only game I've seen to have like a button that's just like, oh, you're plus if you just press this, and it has like zero execution, has like basically free. And that's not actually true at all, because I played Scarlet in MK11, and she had a move that hits your legs, and on block was like +3. So like she could just use that as like a poke tool to see like are you like blocking low, and like bother the fuck out of you, you know what I mean? But the reason I brought up that it starts with the one this move is because in this game, all the buttons are themselves. And it seems like it doesn't make sense, but what I mean is if you press square, it does this. And if you press triangle afterwards, then it does a different move because it's specifically linked to this order at this speed, right? That's how like the moves work. And it works similarly in other games, but whenever you're using this starter button, whenever the first button is a square, the frame data is always going to be the same. It's not like it's waiting for you to input the move and then it's going to do something depending on both of them. It's, oh, this is the start, which route are you taking? You know, which path are you taking? So, it's a 10 frame start to the square, to 1, right? That means anytime someone does a move that is negative, for example, I'm going to have him... I'm going to have Yoshi do a hop knee, which I think is -13, right? See, I can hit him because it's -13, right? That means anytime someone's -10 frames or more, you can get this move off. Of course, with the correct timing, you can get it off. That means you can get all the follow-ups. Like, it allows you to fit more moves in, because the way it works in this game is that, for example, in Mortal Kombat, whenever you hit a jab, right, you can special cancel out of that jab into another move. By cutting off the rest of the animation for the first move in the first place, you fit a bigger move in that normally wouldn't if you just did it raw. That's not how it works here. Here, there's only certain amounts of moves that's like guaranteed. As far as like, for example, the second hit is guaranteed, but I don't think I would get a third in. There is an extension right here, so let's test it. But he blocks the third hit because I'm only guaranteed 2 hits. So unless these 2 hits were to magically knock him down and allow me to get a full combo, they're not going to like lead to his death the same way it would lead to someone's death in Mortal Kombat. So this is it feels like a slower game, but at times it feels incredibly fast-paced. So keep in mind, people aren't going to get comboed off jabs, or at least they shouldn't if the balancing team is doing the job. They shouldn't get comboed because they ate a jab and got hit. Like, that's not going to be like why someone gets blown up or dies. Hopefully. Like, they're not going to be like, oh, I just got tapped once by a jab, I'm dead now. That's not how it works. So any situation where there's -13 or -11 or -12, anything above 10, you can hit this move. Also, the red bar beneath the bar, right? You have the black bar that says 15, and beneath it is the red section with buttons on it. That's the extensions. That's like different routes. So you can go into a move called Soul Zone. This is Soul Zone. Has a very obvious animation, purple haze, has different things you can do out of it. It's a stance. This move allows you to go into it for your own mix-ups. Now, let's have punishment turned off, and let's see what it's like on block. So it's -3 on block, so the opponent's +3. That means it's completely safe. Meaning, if I did set him to punish, he wouldn't be able to respond. Here we go. If I do this, I'm completely safe. And if we make him do his fastest option, which is a 10-frame jab, he can't do anything. And the thing is, since it's the jab, he gets to be +1, meaning it's still, I wouldn't say it's completely his turn. Like, he doesn't have so much advantage where like I can't respond to do anything. But it is a situation where he's safe, I'm safe. But if you want to do anything else, like for example, when he's doing the hop knee as a response, then he put himself at -13. Because I'm safe doing this. I can always block after these two moves. So you can throw this out when you're in the, this is called the neutral. When you're in this position, right? There's a space between you and your opponent. You're not rushing them down. They're not rushing you down. You guys are figuring things out. You can throw this out to like buy time. This is kind of like when you just put a placeholder for an answer during a test, so you can come back to it. That's what this is. And allowing you to figure things out. Because while you're doing this to see, oh, does he know? Does he know? You're also programming him for the extension later, which I will show. Okay, right now. So a lot of moves in Tekken have extensions where you press 2 buttons, they do something, and then there's a third move or maybe even a fourth move that comes out that does a lot of damage, that knocks them down, gives you a bunch of frames advantage, and then you can go on from there. So it looks like this, right? And as you can see, he got hit even though I have him on block. The thing is, he's only blocking for the first 2 hits and then he's trying to respond. But he gets hit by the 3rd hit. This is what is called a frame trap. I'm only -3, so if he tries to press and I do the 4th move, and I do the 3rd move, he gets hit and knocked down. So I think the best way to show this is, one, we need to show the health again, even though it's kind of cluttering the screen, and 2, we want to make him block all the way through, no more punish. So that's -14. If he blocks the 3rd hit, it's -14. As in, he gets his 10-frame punish, 11-frame punish, 12, and 13, and 14. And as you can tell, the longer and like more frame of disadvantage you have, the more options they have to mess with you. The more options they have to do whatever they want. So you don't want to be too negative. Obviously, these safe moves are safe, so they're not going to give you much reward. Hitting these 2 moves don't really do much, especially as far as damage. Like, that's a decent amount of damage, but at the same time, it's not that much. And it only looks like I'm killing him fast because I'm doing it over and over without stop. But you gotta remember, every time I do this and he blocks, even if it is safe, there's still a chance that he's gonna like throw out a jab, he's +1, then he does something else, I get hit, he's like +5, and then he keeps going. He gets more and more advantage and it snowballs. Hold on. Okay, back to what I was doing. All right, where was I? I genuinely forgot what I was saying before that. Anyway, moving on. Oh yeah, yeah, I was like negative frames. That's what I
Alright,
was explaining before.
I'm gonna hit Sheba up and see if you wanna hop on fucking Warframe while you doing it. Damn.
What? Wow.
Yeah. Caught him in strife. That's unfortunate.
So I am still explaining like the frame data and basically talking to myself. So like,
That's fine. It
all
starts
right.
out that way. Let's see.
I mean, you
I can
could
use a
watch and
crash
I could
out from the
explain it
side.
to you to make it better.
You could, but just know I'm gonna hit you with the combo.
Never mind then. Never mind. I'm better off talking to
Like
myself.
at least you won't be looking crazy talking to yourself.
Bro, I'm looking crazy regardless.
Nah, cause they don't know. Like, wow, he has a really good friend. His friend really listening.
Nah, bro. Nah.
You
Anyway,
see.
so last time I remember I was talking about frame advantage. So this move is negative 14, and off top of my head, Yoshimitsu has 1-1, 2-2, and a couple of other moves that are sub 14 that can be used to punish. And the thing is, Yoshimitsu specifically gets a lot of advantage off his punishes, not as frame advantage, but I mean in the sense of upgrading his power. So, for example, if we
But
go to
I cannot. If you was like you do rack up like a following just in the game, I have my following like, doing that shit, just fucking saying minutes and shit.
your mic is cutting up. I'm gonna need you to shut up.
It's probably my sorry.
Or at least do me a favor and go into like your party settings and like don't share your voice.
Hold on. All right. Let me see.
It's nothing personal.
It's personal. It's
I hope it is now.
enemy.
Alright. So Yoshi has this move, right? And when it's in no sword state, it knocks you back. So you gotta think for certain characters like Yoshi who has like a buffed up state whenever their sword is put away, he gets to punish you pretty hard for all of your mistakes. So whenever you're negative 14, and this being his 1-1, hell, there's even if you're negative 10, he can knock you down over and over again, which honestly is more annoying than anything. But very specifically, if the second part is a counter hit when it hits you, hold on, let me do punishment journey. I can't because that's not how that works. I think if the second part hits you as a counter hit, you actually get launched. So there's situations with specific characters where they're stronger in certain states and they would love to help them. We'll go into that a little bit later, but for the most part, you don't want to be negative. At least you don't want to be -1 because you'll take damage, and you don't want to be negative because it gives up your turn. We have so you can still go into Soul Zone for this move. Did you just request to join the party? All right. So this is a high. It starts off with 2, which is a 10 frame. Let me just fucking mute my phone. This shit's annoying. So both Ravens 1 and his 2 are 10 frame startups. Let's actually have Yoshi block. The thing is, only Ravens 1, which only Ravens 1 gives him +1 on block. His 2 doesn't, which it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but it's an important distinguisher because if it comes down to like, oh, will I be able to interrupt him? Am I putting myself at advantage? Because technically, right, if you're punching him with Ravens 2, he Yoshi will become +1, meaning if you wanted to jab again, your move comes out at 11 frames, meaning you could trade with his 11 frame. So if you want to be his option, you would need a 9 frame move, which you just don't have. So you're gonna have a situation where you're spamming this, you're giving the opponent the advantage, and they're gonna go, I'm tired of this, and they start spamming back, and they interrupt you. The second part of this is a low. And I wonder if this is one of those frame trap situations. And by the way, I'm using frame trap very loosely. I'm not exactly sure the full like definition, but it's the easiest way I can get across the concept I'm trying to talk about. So if I hit Yoshi on block, he'll punch back, but this goes low and ducks his high. I wonder if it ducks mids. So we're gonna go to punishment settings, turn this off, and record. All right. So what we're gonna see is if this can avoid a mid, and it just stops him from pulling it out in the first place because of how slow the move is. Since that mid specifically is 15 frames, I'm able to do the second move before he can even start. Let's turn that punishment off. All right. Now, there's a situation that commonly happens whenever you're playing, especially at the lower end, where people are afraid to die. And it's not their fault, it's not unreasonable. What happens is there's a bunch of moves in the game that launch you on regular hit. A lot of them are mids, like a lot of them are mids. They do a bunch of damage, they send you flying, and they lead to full combos, and you die if you get hit by them.
Yo, Tom.
So most people don't want to get hit. Their whole game plan is, oh, to beat this, just block, just stand block, and that's why there's lows in the game. To go, oh, you're just gonna keep standing, I'ma kick you. You're gonna keep
Tom.
standing, I'ma kick you. And for
Yeah.
situations like these, you would go, oh, I'm tired of getting kicked, let me crouch, and then you get launched. What ends up happening is new players are scared to die. They're scared of the mids, which is reasonable. So they just keep standing up, and someone goes, oh, you're afraid that you're going to die? Okay, I'm just going to keep kicking you. I'm going to just trip you. And then they die. And then what happens is, further down the road a little bit, the opponent goes, okay, he's rushing in off a heat engager. I'm about to die. He's probably going to do a mid, but he knows that I'm scared of mid, so he's going to go low. I'm going to block low.
So,
What?
do you can you send me $10?
10? What do you need 10 for?
The EA Play 1 month thing, so I can get it. It's $5.99. But if these bitches really took my DLCs away, I might crash out.
Bro, you don't.
I think
It's
that's
just
just too many.
$7. You just need 7.
Okay then. Can you send me 7?
No, I need you to find the actual game thing and stop interrupting the recording. Goddammit!
I'm looking at it.
It says $7.
Hold on. EA Sports.
You
Where
don't
did
have
you
to do
send
that
me
because
7?
I didn't get the EA Sports thing.
Okay, so where did you go exactly?
Uh, I'm gonna go look it up right now. Like, hold on, y'all. Why'd I say that? There's no one here, bro. The worst part is I recorded such a good session yesterday, and then it didn't record, so I have to do it all over. I have to explain everything over. It was 6 hours, bro. Need for Speed Heat Deluxe Edition. Oh, it says I got all of it. I got the Deluxe Edition and the regular game. I'm trying to view the product so I can like show the name, but it's pink, purple, white with a yellow car. Oh, it's black and white with locks.
Mute that
Okay.
one. don't want to double.
Back to what I was saying. Okay. So down the road, once you're like farther ahead, but still in the early game, people are gonna go, "Oh, he's gonna try to get a quick, easy kill on me," because most people are scared to eat a mid, so he's just gonna go low, right? And then the next step is that it's like, oh, he knows that most people are scared, of the mid, so many people start going low to try to counteract that. So he's gonna go low. I'm gonna go mid and launch him. Right? That's the game. That is Tekken. That is basically all Tekken is a game of, oh, what is he gonna do? Let me counter it. What is he planning to do? Let me figure out a way around it. And when there's a situation where there's no counterplay, you can't sidestep, you can't backdash, you can't crouch, and there's like no actual like way of getting out of it. That's when the game is broken. That's when there's a problem. All right. For example, a very, very simple example is Yoshimitsu. Yoshimitsu is very strong in this game. He has a lot of moves that he can do. For example, one of the things he can do that's very annoying to many people, even me included sometimes, is unblockable sweep. This is unblockable. You cannot guard this. There's a couple of ways that you can get around this. A couple. You can dig jab, just simply crouch and jab, right? This will stop Yoshi in his tracks because the low sweep is 20 something frames, right? It's kind of fast, not gonna lie, but you can still just punch him out of it. Just simply go down, jab. Another option is the backdash because the range for it isn't that good. It's even to a point where you can see the trail cut through their leg, but it won't actually trip them. So just backdash. I've even seen people sidewalk my unblockable. I've seen it before. So those are three okay, decent options. But you know what the best option is? Just fucking hop knee him. Just hop knee Yoshi. If you think he's gonna do it, hop knee. Obviously, if you're wrong, you could die. But hey, you gotta risk it sometimes. And what I'm describing is important to the move we're showing currently because what this is, it's a low crush. Crushing is the system where whenever you crush a move, let's say you crush a high, the move that you're doing is attacking and evading that section of moves, right? So if you divide the screen into three groups, the high section, the mid section, and the low section, whenever you high crush, you're attacking while you're evading it. For example, Yoshimitsu has bad breath. In this state, I'm crouching. So any jabs you do, any highs are going to miss me. And I can respond with an unblockable that leads to full combo, right? There's also this move, which low crushes, meaning if you're doing a low move, I'm going to evade it while still continuing my attack. A hop knee to Yoshimitsu's unblockable is a low crush because you jump over the unblockable. Oh, I forgot that option. When Yoshi does the unblockable, right, you can just hold up and jump over it and be perfectly fine. But like you would rather hop knee it because you're jumping over it and you're attacking at the same time. You want to low crush it. Now you're thinking, what does that have to do with Raven? This move here is a high crush. If they respond with a high jab, they lose. I don't think there's any counter hit properties, no, but it's still a situation where you stop them from responding or you avoid their response entirely while still continuing. Another good thing about this move that I'm noticing is since it starts off with a jab, right? Let me turn it back to offense. It starts with a jab, right? It gives up your turn slightly. But since when you're in that scenario, at the end of the round where someone's about to die and they're scared and they're doing that mental game of, oh, is he gonna go low or is he gonna go mid? You can run up, and if they're like, oh no, he's gonna go mid, you can check them with your your jab. Even if it is -1, you can check them and then proceedly go into a low immediately. And look at how much distance you're out of jab range. It pushes them back. And I'm guessing the only time it doesn't do that is when you're at the wall. The distance it resets you to is completely safe. And since it's what? It's -2 on hits, it's completely safe to back up too, so you can always block. No one's punishing this. And since you're using your jabs to check, they're gonna either one, crouch as a response thinking you're gonna throw a second jab, or two, go, oh, he's throwing up a bunch of mids, let's not duck so I don't die. It's one of those situations where you can use it as your advantage as an irritation tool. I'm not sure how much extra damage you get for counter hitting, not much more. And it's all about that like mental game of, oh, what is he gonna do when he runs in? Is he going to do a low, apply more pressure, or is he gonna do a mid and launch me? There's this move. This one I need to have it stop blocking because it says shift to shadow sprint. Shadow sprint is a stance specifically. It's this. You do down, forward, down, down, forward, and then forward. And if you press it smoothly, it looks like this. If you just hit them with this move, it automatically does it. So Shadow Sprint is its own stance. It has its own list of moves. I'm trying to think of the other one that I know. There's just one more I know. Either way, it's its own stance. So of course there's different mix-ups. Is it going to be low? Is it going to be medium? Because truthfully, a mix-up isn't between low or high. When someone's like, "Oh, the mix-up is it low or high?" They're not talking about the move itself. At least in Tekken, they're talking about whether or not you have to guard low or high. Because when you're blocking, the way that you answer highs and lows is just by crouching. It beats both of them. So the rock paper scissors isn't really rock paper scissors. It's between rock paper. Oftentimes. And you're thinking, oh, is it going to be rock or is it going to be paper? And if you guess wrong, well, you die. And I keep saying you die, not as a way of being like, oh, don't do these things, be scared. I'm saying it as in, if you guess right, you get reward for it. You get to do your combo. You get to do massive amounts of damage. So whenever I say you die when you guess wrong, it sounds harsher than what it really is. Because truthfully, until you're at the highest level, people aren't going to be doing the most optimal combos. And I'm only speaking from a standpoint of it's the end of the round and you have to defend correctly to survive and like win this round. That's truthfully the moment that I'm thinking of, because the entire round itself, all the way up until that point, is just a moment to like learn what your opponent is about, learn what they're doing, learn how do they defend, learn what they like to do. You know, you're just trying to gain information on them the entire time. And that's when the mix-ups themselves will come into play. So in a situation like this, where, oh, I hit this, I get to come in on +8, what am I going to do? Is it going to be a low or a mid? You went low? Well, you take that. And in that scenario, you didn't die for it. But if it was this mid, and you have a Raven who knows what they're doing, you would be taking a lot of damage, and you'd be taken to the wall. Because a lot of moves become so much stronger when they're at the wall, because part of the reason that they're balanced is because you can either sidestep, you can duck, or whenever you do the move, you're pushed out of the distance of the move again. For example, with this move, I'm not in your face. I can't just go for a grab again. You know what I mean? I can't just like do moves or launch you. I'm back at reset, which is good for Raven specifically because he likes to be at this distance. He likes to be at the neutral. But for other characters like King, King wants to be in your face. King wants to like put pressure on you and make you think. He even has that wave dash to get in. Yoshi, for example, if we go over to his setup, like I was saying earlier, part of the ways that you beat Yoshi's move, specifically the unblockable low, is by backing up. If you can't back up, what do? Of course, I've told you the options. You know, you can jump, you can hop me, you can jab. But when you don't expect it, right? When you aren't looking for this, when you don't see it coming, backing up isn't an option. So if you're basing moves like, okay, I'm blocking, you're gonna get hit by this. So you have to think like, oh, Yoshi's gonna come in for the unblockable sweep. What do I do then? Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not like trying to say when I say there's options that Yoshi's move isn't strong, because even if you do see it coming, right, that only affects what you do later because it allows you to be read. For example, I don't like doing the unblockable sweep. You're probably thinking, why? It's unblockable. They can't guard against it. It's super strong. Is it because of the Hopney? No, no. People at my level, I'm Mighty Ruler, by the way. I'm barely Mighty Ruler. People at my level are not good at seeing the shit. They're not good at dealing with the shit. Anyone who has the skill to deal with this has already moved on from Mighty Ruler. What I'm currently doing is trying to get all my fundamentals down before I move on, so I'm not like, oh shit, what do I do here down the road when I like can't learn from it. But the reason I don't like doing this is specifically you can't block it. So if you can't block it, some people are gonna go, well, that shit's unfair. I don't know what to do, and they're gonna shut down. And if they shut down, they're just gonna keep standing. And I'm not gonna keep doing the low sweep. Eventually, I'm gonna go, oh, I've low sweeped you 3 times. You gotta duck. And when you don't duck, it only angers me because it's like, bro, I've hit you with the low sweep 3 times. But since I'm using the unblockable, some people are either like, I don't know what the fuck to do with that. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. So they just freeze. And they don't change their behavior. So it isn't a game of like, oh, is he gonna like crouch or is he gonna stand? It's like what it doesn't create a situation where they mentally go, oh, I have a way out. And I want to create that mental way out because if I know the way they're gonna go, then I get to do whatever I want. Because here's the deal. Here's the deal. I'm gonna put my sword away. I'm gonna stop doing random moves. There is a move, like crouch dash, I think it's called, maybe? No, like full crouch walk, right? 3. This move does basically no damage. It's just an annoyance, has decent frames, I guess. It's just another low, right? But in no sword state, when your sword's put away, it's a sweep. And it's pretty slow, 26 frames. That is visually seeable. It's visually identifiable as not an unblockable. And it leads to a combo. Right? So if we reset, sweep, you can get a combo off of it. I can't because I suck apparently. Hold on. I'm not used to this side. Oh, bro, this is bad. This is bad. This is bad, brother. This is bad. I promise you, you can combo off of this. Holy shit, I do this all the time. I give up. The point is, you can combo off of this. So I'll do it. I'll do the sweep. I'll combo them, right? Get whatever combo I need. Blah blah blah. That does damage to them, right? And they don't like being knocked down. No one does. And then I'll do it again. And maybe I'll do it again. And eventually they see, oh, he's crouching. He's doing the thing. And then I go, no, I'm not. I want them to see me do something and then have a response to it. Because I'm not doing the move just to do it. I'm not doing this move just because it launches them. Alright. That's cool. The unblockable sweep also launches them. But the difference between the unblockable sweep and that sweep, right, is that they can visually see that there's a way out, and then you just booby trap that way out. Because after the second hit of doing this, there's even times, well, I'll just come in like this because it has great range. And then eventually they're going to see me do this and they're going to want to respond. There's times where I've baited someone into doing rage arch simply by doing this. And of course, again, I am still at the low level. I am still like going against people who are nervous and who like not really sure what they're doing. But if a Yoshi does this against you with no sword stance and you've seen him trip you 3 times, you're gonna like in most situations you're gonna look at it and go, oh, he's about to sweep me. You don't normally expect to get hit with this. You don't like expect to get hit with this because I've been showing this the whole time. And you're probably thinking like, oh, if they all launch, what does it matter which one you show? Because one of them hurts you and one of them kills you. For example, this hurts. Now you're at the wall, pressure, blah blah blah. This kills. The reason that one kills is because I get a full combo now. Whenever you do the low sweep, it already tornadoes them. So you can't respin them. So I'm doing it because 1, it gets me damage, 2, it messes with their head, and 3, eventually, if they ever decide to go respond to me, then I get to launch them and get a bigger combo. All I'm trying to do is condition my opponent. And you're thinking, okay, that sounds cool. Cool speech. What's the point of telling us this? Not gonna lie, kind of forgot. That's bad. That's real bad. The point that I was trying to get to is that you want to condition your opponent into certain behaviors so you can do a mix up. So you can apply a 50-50, as they say. Because if you go in and then you do this move every time, well, not even that move. If you go in and you do that every time, nope, that's also a mid. Oh, yeah, that's the one. So if you go in, right, you do this, you dash in, and you hit the low every single time, which crushes highs, mind you, then it's going to be a situation where